ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 2 of RNG, the Russo N Goodwin Show. I am Russo here with my good old pal, Coach Trey. Trey, how are we doing today, man?
Good, man. Taking it easy, getting ready for some tidbits and notes from fall camp, man. Everyone's super excited, and I can't wait to dive into it. To be honest.
Yeah, man. We're getting into the thick of it. We're on the eve of August here, so let's just jump right into it, man. We got our episode is going to be filled with SEC playoff contenders and a breakdown of the first day and a half, really, of LSU fall camp. So we'll get right into it, man, and we'll just get into which SEC teams do we believe make the college football playoff this season. It's going to be a very contentious season. Obviously, I think all the teams, there's going to be a lot of close teams. If you had to give yourself 3 or 4 teams, who are you taking this year based on what you see so far?
I mean, to be honest with you, I think that this has kind of been something that has almost felt boring over the last, few years, just because I feel like we're all so patentedly used to saying Georgia, Bama. Maybe last year Tennessee, the last couple of years Tennessee has been a fun one, but I think after the whole, Nico situation, it seems as though you've kind of taken Tennessee out of that discussion a little bit. They certainly haven't been getting the run that they've gotten in the last few years. But so honestly, man, based on what we know today, it feels like you just default to Georgia. I get that Kirby has not given you any reason to believe that he's got a 3-loss football team under his watch, even though it's Gunnar Stockton and we kind of don't know what he is. I think you give the benefit of the doubt to Kirby. And then if Arch is as good as we think he is, and I certainly think that he's at least good enough to be, top flight in the SEC, it feels as though that D-line is disgusting and that roster is good enough to get them across the finish line. But, I mean, if you start out 0-1 at Ohio State, if you find a way to lose that, I mean, can you find a couple more losses on that schedule? So to make a long story short, to me, it feels like Texas, Georgia, and then can you make the case for an Alabama and LSU, and then maybe even an A&M? It feels like the answer is probably 3.5 would be the betting line. Does that sound fair?
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah, it sounds fair. I mean, honestly, man, this is probably the first time that you can even look at the Big Ten and say that it feels like their line would be comparable. It's almost always a 1-point difference between, the over under with the SEC and the Big Ten. But because of so many, first time quarterbacks and the unknowns, it's got to be close.
Yeah. No. I mean, they just released several media outlets released a strength of schedule outlook for the SEC, and you kind of really base a lot of your predictions on that. I mean, Vanderbilt's got the toughest. We're not going to be talking about them as far as a playoff contender.
But we're betting their win total. I know that because this is the 5th year in a row we're going to do it.
Yeah. I mean, you've got Mississippi State at 2, Arkansas at 3. Obviously, with Sam Pittman on the hot seat, that's going to be an interesting look. But obviously, these aren't going to be any contenders. I would say LSU is definitely a contender this year. Obviously, a lot of pressure can be taken off if they get that first win in Clemson. I think Texas is going to be a player, even though their fan base and some of their fans are a little annoying. But shout out not to a guy named Gregory Snee, who is an avid hater of the show. Alabama's always there. Can they get to 10 wins? They've got a tough schedule. They're on the bottom half of the strength of schedule this season. And then Georgia actually is ranked 14th. They've got Alabama, Tennessee, and Texas, but a pretty good setup as far as the logistics of their schedule. I think they only go to Tennessee, Auburn, and State on the road. So I would say Georgia for sure makes it. I think Ole Miss can be a sleeper I think South Carolina even can be a sleeper if Lenoris is that good. But give me Georgia, give me LSU, give me Texas, and the fourth team I think is going to be Ole Miss, my wild card team.
Okay. So just really quick. So this is Ole Miss, right? So Georgia State at the crib, on the road at Kentucky. I don't expect a lot from Kentucky this year. I think they go hard in the paint at Kentucky. You get Arkansas at the crib, Tulane at the house. I mean, I see 4-0. Then you get LSU at the crib. Then you have Wazoo without John Mateer. Then you go on the road to Georgia, to Oklahoma, South Carolina at the house, Citadel, Florida at the crib, on the road at State. So if you're Ole Miss, you're hoping to pull something from the LSU, Georgia, Florida, Oklahoma variety. I feel like you would need to go at minimum 500 in that. You can't go less than if you're going to lose 3 games on the schedule, 2 of them feel like they have to come from those 4. So you can't afford a slip up if you're Ole Miss with South Carolina or on the road at State. And to me, if you look at that at face value, LSU at the house, on the road at Georgia, and maybe even on the road at Oklahoma feels like the 3 hardest games. Make a case for Florida, but I mean, it's doable. I mean, what about Missouri, dude? Their schedule is unbelievably favorable.
No, yeah, they were the weakest schedule in the SEC.
Central Arkansas, Kansas, UL Lafayette, South Carolina, UMass, Bama, Auburn, A&M, Missouri, Oklahoma State, Arkansas. So if they can just find a way to steal one from A&M, Alabama, and South Carolina, you're going to get a 10-2 Missouri team again.
Yeah.
If they can find a way to win a game, they're not supposed to.
Tough to tell. I mean, I think it's pretty academic as far as we don't have a lot to go on. Obviously, this is all preseason. Right. Things are going to be bound to change based on injuries and whatnot. But I feel pretty confident in these 3 teams. I think the SEC should get a 4th team, but there's always going to be some politicking between them, the Big Ten, and then obviously the other players in the game. So we'll have more to come on breakdowns, season totals, and such, and some separate videos coming for some content soon. But let's just get right into it. We've got a lot to discuss with LSU fall camp. Everything began yesterday. Trey, lead us off, man. What are you seeing? What are you liking so far? Let's just go into it.
So before I address that, I kind of want to just say that Imagine's got a point. I mean, so Imagine _29 said that he thinks A&M might be a sleeper. I mean, I agree. I honestly think that and I know that none of us want to admit that out loud, but we were very wrong on what that team can be with Marcel Reed. Now, again, remember last year it was Connor Wegman, and if you're LSU, that second half, change up between Connor Wegman and Marcel Reed, I mean, that game was over. They weren't moving the ball at any point. Like, there was 0 movement of the ball. All of a sudden, you've got RPOs and, I mean, just straight draws drawn up, going for, 15, 25, and 35 a pop, and gave Blake Baker and that defense fits. If you were to give me a over under of, or a percentage of whether or not Texas A&M makes the college football playoff, I would say that it feels like this could potentially be the year. Last year we said that it could happen, but it feels like this could be the year that a 9-3, depending on how it looks, could get in. And I don't necessarily think that that's too far fetched to say, because you had Ole Miss and South Carolina right there, with 3 losses. So depending on how it looks and when the loss comes, but Texas A&M is, I can tell you this, no one feels confident going and playing them. Like there's not one team in the SEC that wants to go and play A&M.
I mean, I look at A&M, the 6th toughest schedule in the SEC, 3 straight road games with Arkansas, LSU, and Missouri. Not to mention you've got Notre Dame week 3, and then you obviously end the year with Texas. I believe that game is in Austin this year. So
Yes, right.
tough hill to climb, but I mean it's set up for them if they can overachieve. I think they're definitely in the game for sure.
Let me just say that I also appreciate how that game's a home and home, like a home game, and they don't do like what Florida and Georgia do, where they play it in like freaking Jacksonville or whatever. I freaking hate that, man. Like I know that some people and look plus 215 to make the playoffs. There is no chance that I'm only, and if it was 450, okay, I'm all over that. 215 feels
I don't like
kind of,
that. I don't like that line.
you know what I mean. But I love the home stuff. Like I love the home games. I think A&M, if they can manage to not suck against Notre Dame again, I really like their chances with Auburn and Florida at the house. I like them on the road at Missouri. So you're basically saying Texas, South Carolina, Florida, Auburn, LSU. Can you go 3-2 in that?
Yeah.
That's their path. That's their path. So I don't know, but anyway, as it relates to a team that certainly did not have a great path against A&M last year, well, at least in 2 out of the 4 quarters. You're fighting Tigers of LSU. Now I know a lot of people are super excited for this segment. Me being one of them. We're patentedly, I would say pretty fair. Like I know that in years past I have been more of the believer in the hype. Over the last couple of seasons, it has certainly dumbed me down to earth, and I've become realistic, especially with how USC went last year. Like I literally watched you be the better team for all of the last 10 minutes, like literally, and I mean 10, like not even 10 game minutes, 10 like real life minutes. So a couple of things that we kind of shaved into last week and glossed over the top, but we really didn't go too far in depth. I would say if I were to ask 15 people, what do you want to see from fall camp? What do you want to know about the LSU football team? Most people that pay attention are not going to say, what is Garrett Nussmeier? They are not going to say, how does Harold Perkins look? Is Whit Weeks like Whit Weeks, Harold Perkins, Garrett feel like we kind of know it. And I mean, if we were given access and given credentials, the first thing I'm looking at is what are the fatties doing on the offensive line? The problem is that you did have the line last year to be able to run the football, and you did. But it's not as if you didn't have your chances. You just didn't have any committal to it, and maybe that's a mix of you obviously did not have a good explanation of when you wanted to run, and Joe Sloan maybe didn't stay committed to it or didn't know what they could and couldn't run, because it always felt like it was so predictable, and it was so like you knew that there was, like, on a play action, there was never a chance for Garrett to do anything but go down the field, like, or on any RP or zone read or RP. Like there's never been a hesitation of the defense. Like they literally come downhill the entire time because or I say come downhill. They commit to their first instinct, whether it's playing man or being in there or being in their pass rush, because they know Garrett's not running the ball. So to be more obvious with running downs, it was really difficult for LSU to be successful until you find Caden Durham, who's fast enough to get to these spots to hold your block for just long enough. And you saw in the USC game that John Emery was the reason you moved the ball. Caden Durham didn't even barely touch the ball. John Emery was your cat until, you ended up having to throw the ball. So to me, I want to know about the offensive line. And for those of you that wanted to know, it showed up kind of like what we thought. You go out and you get Braylon Moore from Virginia Tech, and you go and get Josh Thompson, a tackle who fits as a guard from Northwestern and in the Big Ten. So it's Tyree Adams at your left tackle, DJ Moore at left guard, who bumped over there to the left side. I kind of thought he'd go to the right side, by the way, like a little bit.
Right. I want to address the comment from our good friend Clay.
Okay.
before we got into it, because it's an interesting point he makes.
Okay.
The main issue with LSU in the BK era is the mobile quarterback, and that has to be fixed this year. We were playing 4 of the top 5 quarterbacks this year. I'll give a little comment, and I'll throw the mic back to you.
Okay.
I agree with you. I think obviously Joe Burrow in 19 wasn't known to be a mobile quarterback, but he definitely wasn't afraid to get down and dirty. Jay Daniels, obviously, mobile quarterback. I think this year a lot of frustrations a lot of people had with Garrett last season was he had room to run and take the smart play. He chose not to, and either forced it down and made a bad throw, and it was just frustrating. Hopefully, that's being worked on this year. I assume it is. I think if you had a prop for his rushing yards this year, somehow I would bet the over. I'm going to be looking to bet it in the first game against Clemson. Hopefully that is being worked on this year. But, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, he's still going to be probably one of the better pocket passers in the country this year. What say you, Trey, to this comment?
So that was actually where I was going to go as soon as we, got through the offensive line. But to go right to it, I agree, brother. The comp to me shouldn't be. So Joe ran for 368 that year, and I want to tell you that is it sack adjusted? Because I would like for it to be, because sack adjusted is kind of what the college does.
It does, yeah.
Okay, 300. Okay, so 300 and 306. So 368, but 306 with the sack adjustments. Do you want to guess Garrett's or no?
I mean, it couldn't be more than 100.
Negative 38.
I mean, a lot of that towards the beginning of the season was not bad. I think a lot of that was ramped up towards the end of the season when we had, some downfall.
Negative 38. Here's the point, and this goes back into O-line. If you're Garrett Nussmeier, can you give me 200?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you give me 200? What's 200 divided by 12? Let's just go in a 12 game. It's 200 divided by 12. Quick math. Quick.
I don't know, like 15, 16.
Is that like
it's doable?
Okay.
Yeah.
368 in the whole season for Joe. There was obviously a few, 30, 40-yard runs in, not only the Oklahoma game, but also the Natty. So 289, 290. Can you give me 200 yards? When the play is open, can you give me 5 or 6 and get down? Now, BK came out and said, he's ran 21.4 miles an hour, which is like a high 4.5. Is that fudging the truth? He also said they ran out of plates for Don McKinley to squat at 650. They did not run out of plates. They probably didn't have enough bar to fit more plates on. But look, man, can you commit yourself like you did later in the year, the last few games, to run just enough to make the defense sweat and be honest a little bit? I think the answer is yes. It's just a matter of whether he's going to do it. But Tyree Adams, DJ Chester, Braylon Moore, Josh Thompson, and Weston Davis is your O-line. Here's
what about DJ Chester? I don't know if you were going right into that.
That is. So, DJ going to the left side, and we just that kind of shocked me a little bit. He felt like the right was going to be maybe more their speed there. He fits as a guard. DJ Chester is literally freaking huge. And for those of you that don't, and again, you didn't play a line in.
I didn't.
Okay. I obviously didn't. The aggression that you have to be a guard is very, very different than the finesse that you have to be a tackle. And so left versus right on tackles certainly matter. Guard to me is, I need you to be mean, nasty, and waking up ready to get physical, like out the bed, ready to be physical. I don't need you to be hesitant. And it feels like the way BK has said it is that he is not what you saw at center at guard. When you saw him at center, how many snap infractions and false starts did we see from DJ? And it's not to say that he's bad. He never played center in his life. and he's also huge. He's like 6'5".
Yeah, he stood out.
So right, like when you would look at the line, he was the biggest damn one, and he was the center. So it's like, so for him to go to guard is awesome. I think Braylon Moore is obviously the smallest of them, but he really looks like a guard to me, especially at the next level.
I mean,
and I do
6'3", 300 pounds. He's a 4-star.
Who's that now?
Braylon.
Braylon Moore. Oh yeah,
Braylon,
and I'd be shocked if he's 300 pounds at the end of fall camp. That 290 feels like viable at the end of sweating in 95% humidity. So not to get too far away from it, the big wrench in the system is not. And you saw a little bit whenever Garrett Dellinger went down. You saw Paul Mubanga, slip in there and kind of had some struggles. But as the games went forward, he got better. He wasn't great, but he got better. And Cohen Eccles is the backup guard. So Paul is battling, DJ right now for the left, and then Cohen Eccles is battling right guard. However, if something were to happen, God forbid something happened, knock on wood to Braylon Moore, certainly you would see DJ Chester go into center, and then Cohen Eccles would be your third string center there. But they're going to need to get reps where they are going to have better opportunities to play, which is at guard. The wrench in the system, and you can give me your thoughts if you know anything about the situation. The wrench in the system is the freshman. And no, I don't mean Solomon Thomas, who, by the way, is going to be out a month with like a metatarsal fracture. I'm talking about the one that does backflips. I'm talking about Carius Kern. Bro, he's benching weight that 21-year-olds do. Like he's ready. He's ready today. Now, the problem is that he is behind Kyrie Adams at left tackle, and he does not feel like a tackle to me. Again, there's nothing about my physicality that should suggest that I know what is best for him on the offensive line. However, most of the time, he looks like a guard to me. But they clearly think he's athletic to be kind of a swing man anywhere. Like if somebody goes down, can you put Carius Kern in and is he ready? And he feels like he is. So I'm not sure how you feel about freshman linemen, but it feels like to me that Will Campbell and Emory Jones gave you a pretty good reason to feel good about giving a freshman that looked ready the opportunity to go.
Yeah. No. I mean, it's always a tough task. I mean, to replace 4 starters from last year. But we've got the names. I mean, there's some good competition, I believe, too. Josh Thompson, Northwestern State, didn't give up a sack last year.
It's a pretty good stat, dude. Think about who he's playing, too.
Yeah.
And is that PFF? Because sometimes PFF kind of gets lost a little bit in the mix, but still, that's impressive. Even if it was, even if it's 3.
No, yeah.
Okay.
But to close the show and spend the last 5 or 6 minutes on this, I mean, I want to talk about the most exciting position, in my opinion, the receiver room. I mean, my God, there's going to be lots of combinations to throw out there this year. What are you hearing? What are you seeing from the early days so far?
Am I mistaken? Like, can you? So we play NCAA 26. When you've got, and comment in the chat if our hater from Texas decides to pull up and maybe tell me what he would run if he was a defensive coordinator.
Only receivers coach, dude. Only receivers coach.
When you've got blistering speed, do you not have to play too high? Do you not play too high?
I don't know. I'm not good at that game, so.
So fun fact, we use Russo's defense and my offense in the game when we do play. So that he's being facetious. And that's right. No matter who starts at LSU will have to sit some dogs on the bench, and that's true. Aaron Anderson seems to have a little bit of not injury concern, but they're trying to take it easy on him. He was not at practice today. And BK said it. You know what you have in him. Nick Anderson had a bit of a concussion in a car wreck that he had about a few weeks ago. Today, he actually was full go at practice today. He's cleared the protocol. it's Chris Hilton staying healthy and Barry and Brown to me that are the two names that you're really hearing. You're definitely hearing, and this is a name that you may not hear a lot this year, but I certainly think that as we go forward, he is that next Louisiana great that can be great. And that's Tyrone Francis. The dude has made not one but two incredible catches that you just it was one of those kind of catches that people talk about and like, who was that? And it ended up being him. But it feels like Aaron Anderson, Nick Anderson, Chris Hilton, Barry and Brown. And then you've got Xavion Thomas is kind of like your jackknife, but there's another one that we're not even talking about, and it's Destin Hill, who feels like your big physical body who blocks really, really, really well. I mean, think of what was homeboy that we had last year, CJ Daniels, who's like Destin Hill is going to play. He's from New Orleans. He's a physical specimen. It seems like when you have this much speed, you have to play too high, which is going to give Joe Sloan a lot of opportunities to run little overs and unders and dinks and dunks to Donovan Green. If you wanted to even run 22, who's your blocking tight end, you mean to tell me you can't roll him for 3 or 4 yards every now and then? And we're not even talking about Donovan Green. It's Bauer, Sharp, and Trey'Dez Green. So if you have to defend 99 speeds on both sides with Chris and Berrien, where the hell else? Like, you're running out of options. Like, you're not. So now you have to guard people out of the slot with,
Aaron Anderson or even Nick. I mean, I don't even know if Nick plays slot or not, but I mean, he's 6'4", so I don't know if that's the best place to put him. But yeah, I mean, there's so many options.
It's an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah.
So but what and we can get into this in another show, and I know we're trying to come up on time here, but the thing that I think a lot of people that love LSU are going to have to understand and get comfortable with is that the first team that you play has boys too. Like they've got some at receiver. I dare you to pull up some Wesco highlights. I dare you to pull up some Wesco highlights and tell me that guy's not sick. They've got some boys that can run. So you're gonna like this embarrassment of riches that we have, and we certainly may be deeper, and I think that we obviously are deeper. We're biased, but you can go 8 deep for like we just gave you 8 names and didn't talk about Bauer, Sharp, Trey'Dez Green, or Donovan Green, who are also going to be tight ends, and likely Donovan's probably the odd man out in that group, but you're not even talking about that. And that is before you talk about Caden Durham that can catch passes and Harlem Berry, who is number 1 running back in the nation, and that is his specialty. So it feels like you're going to have a lot of looks that have too high to me. So what can you do with too high? What can you do in cover 4? Like, this should not be hard when you have this many boys that can run, because last year you had people that could get open, but you had no one that can blow the top off the defense. We also didn't mention the fastest man in college football, and his name is Jelani Watkins.
Yeah.
So we didn't even mention Kyle Parker, who Brian Kelly brings up at every single press conference. So anyway, I'm at the point where, like, I don't know, man. Like we can't even talk about safety and D line because we can't stop talking about receivers. We're no better.
We'll break down the other side of the ball next week. We'll have a full week of intel next week. Stay tuned for, like I said, we've got a lot of betting videos coming out as well, breaking down mainly the SEC win totals. I think there's a pretty good discrepancy because like everyone's kind of clumped up. Like all those big teams are clumped up between 6.5 to 9.5.
Right. Right.
So there's going to be, I mean, it could all end up that way. Everything could be tight, but there's going to be some areas of opportunity if we can find them early. So we'll definitely have some content on that coming soon. We'll break down the other side of the ball next week. And guys, we appreciate it. 30 minutes on the dot. Obviously, we're about to be in August, man. It's here.
It's literally tomorrow. We have, and speaking of the Sunday game, we have the Hall of Fame game that's happening tonight. And the reason why Russo needs to cut it short is because we're determining draft order for a fantasy football league. So there's a little bit of as you can tell, I could easily give you till the 72-minute mark. So we may even
No,
have
of course.
we may could even go into some extended episodes here. But as it relates to this, man, like you should feel confident as an LSU football fan that you should at least have weapons. Can the offensive line give Garrett the time to do it? And then whenever that pocket breaks down, can Garrett just nimble himself out there and get down? Can we do that? Can you establish the run? We'll see. We'll certainly talk about it as we get closer, but we're excited to find out now that we actually have fall camp happening.
Yeah. And shout out Tyler,
Yeah.
shout out Clay, shout out Ben. Thank y'all for watching the show and being interactive with us. We will
Rate, comment, and subscribe. Give us some
likes.
likes.
Next time, boys. Goodbye.